This is Levels of Geeks podcast, bringing you action movie reviews from across the decades, plus box office numbers and insight like never before. And now your host of Levels of Geeks podcast, Alex and Friends.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 30 of the Levels of Geeks action movie podcast. I'm your host, Nate, and that is my co-host,
Alex Figueroa.
And we are here to talk about a little movie called Atomic Blonde. So this is the last in our female-led action movies for the month of January.
Yeah.
You could go back and see our previous movies. We had Lucy, right? We had Kill Bill, right? We had the other one.
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. Hey, we just did Sucker Punch last week. We did so many. Listen, I've watched so many movies.
Yeah.
It becomes a blur. Yes, Sucker Punch, which was awesome. This is our last. And it's Atomic Blonde, starring, of course, the vision that is Charlize Theron. So we're going to get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But before we do that, we got a couple of things. We got to let you know. Number one, if you're listening to us on the go as a podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to us, please make sure you're subscribed, notifying, getting those auto downloads, giving us a review, give us a score, let us know what you think of the show. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, please, right down there, go ahead and click like right now because you're going to like this review. So go ahead and hit like. Make sure you're already subscribed to the channel so that way you get every and make sure you have the notifications turned on. That way when we put these out every week, you get to watch them. Yeah, so that's pretty much it there. Let's go ahead and first, before we even get into the numbers, I always like to ask people, what's your experience with this movie? How many times did you see it? Did you see it at the theater? Was this your first time, second time? What is it for you?
Me? I never seen this in a theater. I saw this when it came out on Blu-ray. I believe Blu-ray first before the 4K. So I'm a little half and half when I first saw it. That's the thing I like about when we're doing all these reviews now, because we get to revisit and see if it changes our mind. You know, the older we get, we know more stuff.
Sure.
So with that, and also before we get into the actual review, I would like to say is thank you to everybody that voted for the females movies that we watched for the review. So again, I personally and me and Nate, we would thank you all for helping us out with these reviews. So thank you for supporting the channel.
Keep voting.
Yeah.
Everything you guys vote for, that's what we watch. So we have all the next months and Marches and, spoiler alert, April and May. You guys have voted for everything we're going to be reviewing on the non-franchise review. So thank you. My experience, I actually saw this at the theater at an early screening about 3 or 4 weeks before it came out. Went to a screening and reviewed it on my podcast early. I will say this was 2017, I believe. Mm-hmm. And it was on my list of most anticipated for 2017 when we did that show. So that was my experience. This is my second time watching it. I bought the 4K Steelbook when it came out in 2017. I have not seen this in 3.5 years. So we'll see how this goes. But before we even do that, please, was this movie a success? How did it do in the box office? Let them know.
Yeah, so here we go. Box office numbers for the 2017 Atomic Blonde, starring Charlize Theron.
Yes.
All right, her box office numbers are domestic made $51,687,870. That's not bad.
It's not bad.
I mean, 2017, it should have been $100 million first weekend.
You would think with some of the talent attached, it might, but
So, international, $48,326,155. That's no bueno.
Less.
Yeah, that's less.
Good.
No bueno.
Yeah.
Worldwide total of $100,014,025. I gotta say, is it a flop? Well, with a budget of $30 million, it's not.
Oh, no,
it's not. It is a success. You like how I did that? I scared you all.
That was very. I like that. That was very suspenseful. That was very good. Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah. But that's actually a highly successful movie, and I'm still can't understand or wrap my brain around why they never gave it a sequel for the character.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know it's not, but everyone compares it to John Wick because it's the director and it's got a similar
tone,
action style. Yeah. And that movie made less than this, and it got 2 sequels. So I'm guessing maybe this didn't have the following after, home video. Maybe it didn't do as good. They came out with so many versions. And I feel like when they come out with a lot of versions pretty quick, that means it's not selling. So they're trying to get people to, people to get it. Yeah, because there's been like 3 or 4 different Steelbook variants. You just got the 4K for what, like $10?
Yeah, $10.
I don't think it's, so I maybe it just didn't have that follow-up appeal that people really wanted, but it was a success because even the marketing wasn't crazy. I remember, like, I saw the trailers, but it wasn't big-time marketing. They made a profit on this, for sure.
No, I mean, I agree with you with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it wasn't. Maybe it didn't have that after following. Yeah, but critically, how did it do there? You know what I mean? Made money.
Yeah, give us some
success. Well, 78% critical. 78%, pretty good. I feel like anything 75 and up is like a tier. I like to break it into tiers. That's like an upper tier. You know what I mean? 75 and up. Obviously, 90 is like the peak of the mountain type stuff, but 78 is pretty good. Audience score 64, so 14% lower, liked by less people, but still more than half of the people who saw this and rated it enjoyed it. So with that, we're gonna let you know the only important numbers on this entire show, which is our numbers. Did we like it? I have a feeling. I always like to make predictions. You guys saw on John Wick, I came very close to predicting that box office. I have a feeling we are going to have a split review on this one. That's my guess. We don't talk about it. I don't know if he likes it. He don't know if I like it. Yeah. But I don't know. We have the same exact score on John Wick. Doubt it's going to happen this time. That's all I'll say. I doubt it's going to happen.
All right, so let's
go first. Yeah. Lead character, Miss Atomic Blonde herself.
Yes.
Charlize Theron.
Yes, Lorraine Blonde. That's her name.
Lorraine
Blonde. So look, the character, I enjoyed her character. Actually, look, one thing with Charlize Theron, though, she puts 110% on any role she does. So
yes,
that is not even a factor of this movie, okay? She gave you ass-whipping scenes. She was very emotional. She has a hot lesbian scene with that chick. Okay,
Sophia Boutella.
Yes, she got that lesbian, scene, and I'm like, that's awesome. Then you got, then you see the her spyness because you get to see all that play out throughout the movie. The movie is very serious. It's a more drama driven than action driven, like John Wick. John Wick had the elements of both that smooth operator. It flowed like wine. This one was like a rapid because I was going up and down. I didn't know what the hell we were going at with this character. Okay? It was like rapid water going down the stream. Not like John Wick. John Wick was like a flowing stream down the mountain. Yeah. But that's a crazy metaphor. I don't know why I'm saying
it's a koi pond.
It's a koi pond. Yeah, that's John Wick. He's nice and humble. But anyway, I give Charlize Theron a 5.
Ooh.
As a character and as an actor, I think she played that character very well, very believable. That's one thing about Charlize Theron. She made her Lorraine Blonde believable. So that's what I give her a 5.
Fair. So there's 2 things about this movie, spoiler alert, that I really just hate.
Spoiler in the first category.
One of them is not Charlize Theron. She ain't gonna be it. Look, I love her as an actress.
Okay.
I do. And I think she's very good in this. She's very charismatic. Not even, I won't say charismatic. She's not super charismatic in this, but she's very magnetic. Like you can't not watch her. And It's a mixture of both being stunningly gorgeous, but she has a lot of presence. You know what I mean? And she does fantastic in the action scenes, which, is no surprise. She was also in Mad Max Fury Road around the same time. She's awesome in that. She's a physical specimen. Another one who's she's tall, tall woman. She's not a small, tiny. This is the opposite of the girl from Sucker Punch. Like Baby Doll, who's like 4'8" and tiny. Charlize Theron is coming in here. She's solid. She looks like she'll beat up a guy. She really does. So it's super believable. She's awesome in the action scenes. She acts. She does well. My problem with it and why I don't give it a 5 is that lack of charisma. So John Wick is quiet, but at least there's one or two times where like his charisma kind of comes out when he gets very upset. You know, the church scene when he's yelling at them. With her, it's just all kind of very dull, kind of low key. And that's the role. She's a spy. This is a spy movie for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah,
this is an espionage. It's very heavy on espionage and spying and KGB and Cold War and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, they're not going to be super loud and over the top. If you're a spy, it doesn't quite work. So I give her a 4. I do still like her. I think she's good. But just that keeps her. There's some coldness to her that, and it's really the whole movie in general, which we'll get to in other areas. But there's just a certain distance I feel where I don't get all the way involved. So I give her a 4.
Okay.
All right. Villain. So I don't like this. This is one of the things that I hate about this movie. 1. I'm gonna give it a 1. Look.
You gave it a 1?
A 1.
Oh wow.
Who we scored? James McAvoy, right?
Yeah.
Is that who you scored as the villain?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. Listen, for half the movie, he's, well, a little less than half the movie, he's like on her side, right?
Yeah.
But he's just kind of wacky. He's the only one who's wacky in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, everyone else is playing it very cold, very spy-like. And this dude just shows up out of nowhere, like, being wacky and weird. Even his opening scene, the way he gets out of the car, like, he stops the car and he like gets out all cool. He's wearing a crazy jacket and he almost gets shot and stuff. Like, I don't know. He's just kind of weird, which is fine. But then when he switches alliances and you find out he's actually a bad guy and a sellout, I like James McAvoy, but I don't like him in this movie. For some reason, it did not work for me. And it's weird because I really, really like him. I'm not even lying. Like, I love Split. I like him in the X-Men movies. I really like him in pretty much everything else he's in.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know. He just seems like he's in a different film, but not in a good way. And plus, like, it's just kind of all. This has to do with the story too, but it's just a lot too much shades of gray for me. Kind of, you know, it's very unclear at times with the motives and things like that. So I don't know. I didn't dig it. This didn't work for me. 1.
You know, I don't argue with you. I think James McAvoy, hell of an actor. You named his whole career, his filmography right there. Quick synopsis. I kind of agree with you. I didn't feel much for him. I thought he was a stupid character. It just didn't make sense to me. I was just like, oh, okay. Like 1 minute he's all, you know, and he's all smoking, drinking Jack Daniels, giving people Levi jeans, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like what is this guy? You know, and he's supposed to be the what the hell is he called? He was supposed to be the guy, the point guy. Was it like the guy who gets the information, the end guy, whatever the hell it is? Right. And I didn't feel that. Like, he was like, oh, we're going to get whatever. And then all of a sudden he turned and I'm like, what the hell? Like, this was like a weird espionage movie for me. And especially for that type of character. Because it's set in the 80s, which we'll talk about in the storyline. Yeah. I didn't like him. And I agree with you. I gave him a 2.
Okay.
I didn't like him at all. I gave him a 2. I thought he was okay, but I was like, ugh, you could have had, or you should have had a villain. That was the whole point of the damn thing. I wanted a villain.
You said one thing that absolutely sums up how I feel about him. What is this guy? That is a perfect sentence to describe James McAvoy in this movie. What is this guy? That's all I thought the whole time. The first time I watched it and the second time I watched it, I'm like, what is this guy? Like, no, you're right. I agree with you. I didn't like him.
He had a broken hand with a cast that was a radio listening device.
Yeah,
that's how he was listening
too. Like, what was wrong with him?
I don't
drunk
know.
all the time. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, me either.
Plus, he doesn't do anything. Like, what does he really do? He doesn't. He kills the girl, the Sophia Boutella's character. You know, and she's not even she's not like a fighter person. So he killed pretty much a girl who has no shot against him. And other than that, he really didn't do anything cool. Right? There's no like great, incredible hand-to-hand fight scene with Charlie. Nothing. He sucked. So I agree with you. Okay, you go on
action scenes. Now, this was a little hard for me because some of the action was not as much action like John Wick. Like, John Wick had this flowy action sequences throughout the first movie. And it's wrong for me to pick John Wick because I know it's the director, and I know that a lot of people compare this to John Wick. So it's really wrong for me to
almost
do that.
Impossible, though.
It's really impossible. So I'm going to go with Salt with Angelina Jolie because that's an actual movie that I could say this is kind of even terms. She's a spy sleeper, and, this was a spy also. So I'm going to use that because I love Salt. That needs a 4K. That needs a 4K transfer.
I agree. Yeah.
So with that said, Salt had a lot of action scenes that were short, long, then super long, and then they go back to short. This movie is like in spurts. We have some here, we have some there. Towards the middle of the ending, you have the longer battle when she's trying to take the nuclear physicist guy that knew the codes down the stairs. Yeah, that guy. That was kind of, for me, that was like the longest scene. Even the one in the house that she fights and then she jumps out the window for 2 seconds.
With the hose.
Yeah, that was, to me, that was super fast. I mean, if you look at your time, that was like a 5-minute fight. Mm-hmm. And I'm not nitpicking, but we are a action podcast, and we have to nitpick action sequence, okay? I'm going to give this a 4 because of the brutality that she endured doing the stunts. Because I know she got hurt. Like, there's no way you can't tell me she did not get hurt doing the stunts.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 4. But if I really wanted to be super harsh like Nate, because I'm a really nice guy when I give scores.
Yeah, generous.
Generous Al. That's what I am.
Generous Al. You got to get a t-shirt for when we do these podcasts.
Yes, generous Al. Yeah, so I'm very generous, okay? I would have gave this a 3. But I gave it a 4 because I think she endured a lot of physical pain during this stunt. She must have got hurt her leg or ankle, whatever the hell. So I'm going to give this a 4. What would you give it, Nate?
All right, we are going to be, this is one of the weird times where I think I will become generous Nate. Rare, very rare. This doesn't happen often.
You're going to make me look bad.
I don't nitpick. I try not to.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm overly harsh, but I don't just blurt out great scores all the time. However, I agree with you. There's not a ton of action in this for an action. It's more of an espionage spy movie than an action movie.
Yeah.
And this is actually based off of a graphic novel. So this must have been like a graphic novel. It was just a lot of reading because it is not a super action movie.
A lot of like a newspaper.
It's like exactly. It's more a graphic newspaper than
graphic newspaper.
So, like, I agree with you there. The fight scene, I do like the fight scene in the house. It is short, but I do like it. But that big action scene towards the end alone is so good. I remember it, watching it at the theater and thinking, this is the best action scene I've seen in a movie theater all this year. And by the end of the year, it stayed that way. And it's the one thing in this movie, I kid you not, that always I remembered for the last like 3.5 years.
Okay.
It's executed so well. It's not just a long scene, it's a long take. So there are cuts, obviously. As a big nerd, you can spot them, but the whole thing is shot essentially in real time.
Yeah,
and they're long takes. Yeah, they're long takes before you have the hidden cuts. So, man, she fights multiple guys in the stairwell. There's gunplay. There's no music throughout the whole scene, which I love. It's just hitting, bone crunching. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything. You hear sound effects. You hear gunshots. Everything, and it starts off with guns, moves straight to hand, moves to a car chase from inside the car. I absolutely love it. It's a showstopper in my opinion. Like, it's very great. For it, I give the action a 5 because I think, although it's not a lot there, and you're right, the two major fight scenes, the one in the house with the hose, there's some very good choreography there that looks cool. And I like the George Michael song that's playing through the fight scene. I think it's really cool. And then that last one, though, when you have something that's so money, I got to give it full credit. So for me, I'll give it the 5. But it's not for quantity. It is for quality of that long kind of 10 to 12 minute action scene. It's so good. Just fast forward to that part, and then turn it off. Anyway, we're gonna get to story.
Turn it off. Thank you. You made me look bad on action sequence. Yeah. Okay, where are we up to?
You gave it a 4. We were close. We're gonna go to story, and so with the story, here's the other thing that I hate about this movie. I didn't like this movie when I saw it at the theater. I remember we went to see it. I was extremely let down. And I left that theater like, man, I had this like on my most anticipated list because again. I remember, I was an early John Wick adopter. I was there from the beginning. I saw it about 2 months early. I saw this a few weeks early. I was like, okay, I'm very excited. And the story does not do it for me. It's overly convoluted. I mean, you want to talk about a confusing, convoluted espionage. Espionage is not my favorite genre at all. I'd probably put it in my low tier of like movie I like to watch, not counting James Bond. I like that kind of spy movie. Or like Kingsman, stuff like I like that more pulpy and actiony. I hate the like real spy like John Le Carre movies, like a most
Tom Clancy
dangerous
films.
man, or I do not like them. I really don't. So I like The Hunt for Red October, but other than that, I'm just not into it. And then this one is that style of movie, but it's so confusing. Like she's this agent, and then she's a double agent, and then she's like a triple agent. It's like, oh my gosh, how many different countries could you be working for in one movie? The movie's told in a weird way where it's like starts off and then it flash forwards, but then it's told in flashback as well. Yeah, you don't really know who's who. You don't really know who's good. You don't really know who's bad, but even then you don't know their true motivations. Yeah. Half the time, I'm not even kidding. And I'm not stupid. But half the time I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, I don't know who these names are. I don't know who's who and what are they doing? They have a list. This guy has a list of names. Okay, but I don't really know everything. I'm just not a big spy fan. It's a 1. I hate the storyline in this movie. I'm really, really not into it at all. And there's other things that, I will give credit for when we get to overall, but story is not one of them. 1 for me.
Yeah, so I'm a huge spy dude. Like, I mean, of course, that's why we're covering action, because of me and you. But I love spy. I love the Jack Ryan series. I love these type of like espionage. I love 007. Yeah. I love the Mission Impossibles. So this one I was a little bit there. Okay, I love the salt. Okay. I kind of understood what they would try to go with this story, but it was way poorly executed. It's really poorly executed when you have someone like me that know espionage type films, and I'm looking lost. Like, what the hell? Like, where did he get the watch from? And then from the watch, it went to this guy, and then from this guy, she's trying to figure it out. And she figured it out, and then, James McCoy is really bad, and then it got too complicated. And I don't like movies that way complicates things for a plot. Yeah, like I enjoy. Like I said, I enjoy espionage. If you want to do twists and turns, again, like I said it before, even with the Salt movies, it has to make sense to the audience. So they could at least feel the journey with the main character. That's the whole point of us watching movies, is us in the eyes of the lead character, or if it's not through the lead character's eyes, we're seeing the damn picture and we know where we're going with. Like a Sherlock Holmes type movies. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, we don't get that. And I think David Leitch is an excellent director. I think this was like one of the wrong projects for David Leitch. I think he needed more of a solid script before. I mean, I understand why he took it. This was right up the alley. And then he just threw the John Wickness all up in it. So with that said, and this is the first time I will always agree with Nate. One of the first times I gave this a 1. No. I was not. I for the second time, I seen this movie. Me and my wife looked at each other. I was like, "This is," and it sucks because when you watch a movie and you know the reason why you did not watch this ever again.
Yes,
and that's the movie.
That's what I thought.
And the same scene came up towards the end when he's putting the bag in the car, and she pulls up behind him. And then she shoots him, and then he goes, I don't have the watch. She found the watch, and I went, this is the reason why I don't watch this damn movie ever again. And I don't like it. Now, one thing I will say is I hope they take that character and put her in John Wick, in a John Wick universe. If she shows up in the universe, that would be awesome as her as the main character, as the villain. I think that would be awesome. Atomic Blonde versus John Wick. But other than that, that thing was a stinker of a storyline.
One of our watchers who's constantly there, the one and only, shout out to Beckish in the chat, called this atomic bomb because she also does not like it.
Yes.
She does not like it. And most of my friends don't like this movie. So like when I saw the Rotten Tomatoes and 78, I could understand critics because, they are on a different wavelength a lot of times. But even the audience was like, I thought it was kind of high. I thought it would be lower. I don't have any friends who really like Atomic Blonde. And I don't either. So, okay. So overall.
Yeah. So overall for me, I'm going to go straight out the gate and say it. I gave it a 3 out of a 5. Okay. I think it's a good film. And again, we gave it 1s, we gave it 2s. And again, we're breaking down the film for you guys from our eyes. And that's how we're giving you our true, honest opinion on these movies. Overall, it's just basically us putting the entire film together to give you as an entire package. Just because we say the storyline is a 1 doesn't mean the entire package is going to be a 1 or a 2. So with that said, I gave the entire film a 3. This is for someone that likes slow burn movies. That is just straight slow burn, has a little bit of action throughout the movie, and you really could get lost in the plot, and you really don't give two craps. So you're like, okay, whatever. I'm just seeing this for Charlize Theron to beat people's asses. If you're there to watch this movie to try to figure out what you're watching, this is the wrong movie to watch. Yeah, good luck with that. You might need the script, and maybe you might even need the final script with some written, with some scratches of what they changed. Because honestly, for someone like me and Nate to give it a 1, and we know our movie plots and all that, that shit was all over the place. So with that said, I gave a point for Charlize Theron. She was the highlight of the movie. I gave the extra point, the second point, for the action. The action was really good. I love the scene that she's in the hotel room and she's about to give the guy the watch and she starts killing everyone because they were about to kill her. Love that joint. That reminded me of a 007/Mission Impossible type scene. Loved it. And the third point I gave was the fact that they gave females out there a character like John Wick for them to root behind. Now, the script landed flat. But other than that, they gave them a hero that I hope they could give a sequel and give her the benefit of a doubt and give her a really good script. Because I think Lorraine Blonde is a really great character to continue on going with. That's just me personally. I think I would love to see her again on screen in a better hands of another screenwriter, not director. Because I think David Leitch did a great job as a director. But I want to see a better writer tackle this project. That's just me. I gave it a 3 out of a 5.
Yeah, so we honestly, this review, I was wrong. We are very much in sync. So I predicted wrong. But this, I'm gonna give it the same score or very close to what I gave it when I reviewed it. And I'll get to it in a second because there are some things that I very much enjoy about this movie. One, we talked about it, Charlize Theron. I think she's magnetic. Although she's a slightly dull character, you gotta watch her. She's fantastic. Besides being stunningly gorgeous, she's incredible. Love her. Great cast in this, right? Although I didn't like them, you do have James McAvoy. You have John Goodman. You get Toby Jones in here. We get a little Eddie Marsan. We got some Sophia Boutella. We got Bill Pennywise Skarsgård. Yes. So good cast. You're going to be watching some actors that you usually like seeing work, which is good. There's two very, very strong things in this film, though. Plot aside, and terrible villain aside, and terrible script aside. One, this soundtrack is so good. This is a great. This is what Wonder Woman 1984 should have had as a soundtrack.
I was just. Yes, you took
you went Voices Carrie. Yeah. We get Father Figure from George Michael. We get Blue Monday and a super cool version of Blue Monday opening the movie. By the way, it's not the original. It's like a newer version of it, but it's sick. I love it. You got a great.
You get the 99 sniff balloons.
Yeah, 99 red balloons.
Yeah, red balloons.
You get a mixture of Euro pop because they're in Berlin and stuff like that. And just kind of classic 80s music. It's so good. And the music, the score is very good. So that is very, very good. I enjoy it for that. And two, I agree with you that David Leitch is not the problem with this movie. He directed it very well. I think he got the performances he was looking for, whether I loved all of them or not. He did a good job with the actors. The action scenes that are there are obviously extremely well shot because that's what he does. But this movie looks gorgeous. The 4K is beautiful. It's really beautiful. Not only is the transfer good because it's a newer movie, the colors is a very colorful movie in a cold way, though. Like, okay, outside is very blue, very cold. You feel like you're in a cold place all the time. Reminds me of Underworld, except, because that movie's always blue. But it's kind of snowy. But when they're in, like, inside hotel rooms, very red. The blue, when she's in the bathtub early and the room's, like, kind of dark blue. It looks great. It looks great. So the movie looks amazing, sounds amazing, but is, like, not fun to watch. So this is a really hard, and because of that, I gave it a 2.5. I'm right in the middle. Like, I don't really fully recommend it because I don't like it. I don't like this movie, but I do like looking and listening to it, if that makes any sense. So
no,
2.5. Yeah, I'm right in the middle, just a little hair under you. It would be a 5 out of 10. I think that's what I gave it when I reviewed it. So 2.5, which for the totals brings me to a 13.5 out of 25.
For me, it's a 15 out of a 25.
So we were close. We were much closer than I thought.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a mess. Script-wise, story-wise, it's a little bit of a mess. Visually, not a mess. Acting, not really a mess. So it's this weird kind of in-the-middle movie.
Yeah.
But I feel like the story is so convoluted that it makes the good stuff, like, not fun to watch. You know what I mean? Like, oh, man, I got to sit through this confusing plot that doesn't make any sense just to see some cool visuals and hear a couple of good songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So anyway, that is Atomic Blonde. So of course, you're going to want to make sure you follow next week. We are going to be reviewing John Wick 2 for our franchise movie. And then we will be checking out the Wesley Snipes film, Passenger 57, as part of our Black-led action star movies for Black History Month, in honor of Black History Month, the month of February. We said, let's do what we can and support these actors of color who are doing great work in the action genre. We could have really done a whole month of Denzel Washington movies, but we decided to mix it up and give everyone a chance. Papa Denzel comes through with the heavy hitters, but we wanted to give other people a shot. So we're going to cover the gamut of action movies with black leads. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So again, guys, if you want to follow me or Nate over on our social media platforms, please follow Nate over on Instagram at NateFlixReviews. If you want to check out his podcast with him and his friends, it's over at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere you listen to your podcast on. The podcast is called Nateflix Movie Reviews on all those platforms. And of course, if you want to follow our Levels of Geeks, anything Levels of Geeks, you can follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube, all Levels of Geeks across the board. And other than that, if you're watching us live, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, please hit those like buttons if you enjoyed this video breakdown. And of course, if you guys want more of the action, please hit those notification bells so every time we go live Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, or when these movie reviews drop Thursdays, Saturdays, and Fridays is our 4K disc reviews, you guys will be notified. Until then, I'm your host, Alex Figueroa, and that is
Nate from Nateflix Reviews.
Be awesome to each other and geek out.